Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter.
Hi there guys, it's Adam Martyn here, and welcome back to another video, and yes, it's time. We're going to be ranking Eurovision 2024. Oh boy. Any viewer of this channel should know I'm a big fan of Eurovision, and I recently mentioned that I got to go this year to Malmö in Sweden to experience the contest live with my partner Rebecca. It was an unforgettable experience. But now that it's all done and dusted, I thought we'd go through the 25 nations that competed in the grand final, and I'd give you my own personal ranking of them. Again, this is my personal views, it's my personal taste, my opinion. If what I say here, is that objectively right? No. But, if you're going to come in the comments with any of these songs and say,
it's objectively good, it's objectively bad,
you are wrong. Just something I want to preface is that when we were in Malmö, I'm judging this off obviously hearing the songs on the radio or on streaming services, and then judging what we saw live. So we saw the afternoon preview of semi-final 1, and we saw the evening preview of semi-final 2. So we technically saw all the competing artists perform live, and then the final thing to base off that I'm going on is the televised grand final. Any song, any song across any nation, any language, whatever, is all subjective for different people with different tastes. So can we please bear that crucial bit of common sense in mind as we delve into the comments? So we're going to go from bottom to top. So last place, 25th place. Well, for me, there was only one nation that could take the bottom spot. It was quite easy to decide. And that nation is... Look, I wanted this to be good. When I heard that Luxembourg were returning, I was so excited. They haven't taken part in 31 years. The last time they took part was 1993. They're 5-time winners as well, technically one of the most successful countries within the contest. So when it was announced that they were returning, I was so hyped. What are they going to bring after 31 years? And they brought the most generic, uninspired, boring, bland pop song with staging that was equally as bland, with CGI effects that rival Poland from last year. Honestly, this is no disrespect to the artist, and none of my takes here are disrespect to the artist, by the way. But, Tali did a fine job, and I think she representing Luxembourg was a great choice, but this song just didn't do anything for me. When I listened to it on the radio, I thought, oh wow, is that it? But then, as we went to Malmö and we watched it live, I was like, oh, is that it? And sadly, that persisted through the grand final. She may have finished in 13th place on the night, but for me, she comes dead last in 25th. 24th place then, for me, that would be... Now, this is Don's. I like Don's. He seems like a really wholesome dude, really nice voice as well, but... Again, similar to Luxembourg and Fighter, this song just didn't really do that much for me. Again, I can appreciate his vocal and the power behind the song, but both the song and the staging and the whole package, if you will, just wasn't really setting my world on fire. So, okay, Latvia, you didn't come last, but second to last for me. He managed to place 16th in the final. To be honest, I didn't even think he'd qualify. Swap Latvia out for Albania in terms of that qualifiers, and that's me sorted. I'm good. So, next up in 23rd place is... Yes, Israel. Now, of course, their inclusion this year was controversial for a whole variety of reasons. For the purposes of this video, we're going to be sticking strictly to the songs. I'm planning on making another video about the contest as a whole, including the controversies, so this is just about the music. When I first heard Hurricane, bear in mind, yes, I am aware of the lyric change and all that sort of stuff, I thought, well, this is fine, a very sort of generic sounding, produced pop ballad, nothing too exciting. And then it came to seeing it in Malmö during the dress rehearsal. I couldn't really focus on it because for the whole 3 minutes was just constant booing. If you only watched it on the TV and you think, oh, well, there wasn't that much booing, trust me, from someone who was in the arena, there was a lot of booing. But, you know, as a singer, she still was able to deliver the performance. And it was, again, I genuinely felt it was just okay. It didn't set my world on fire. More interesting, sure, than Luxembourg and Latvia, but not much beyond that for me. I watched the grand final, and I don't know what happened, but some of the vocals were just not on it. Like, I totally understand, you know, that a lot of these performers are very young. They're performing these vocals live on a world stage of hundreds of millions. Nerves can and have gotten to artists before. We've seen that countless times. I don't know if that's what it was. Obviously, there's the added stuff as well. But no, overall, if I'm just going on my opinions on the songs based on everything I saw and heard, 23rd place for Israel for me. Moving on then to 22nd, and this might be a bit of a shock to some of you. La Noia, sung by Angelina Mango for Italy, and I didn't get this one. Before the contest, loads of people were hyping this up, saying that Italy had a really good chance of winning again, and then people were praising the staging from the rehearsal clips and stuff like that. And throughout hearing the song, seeing it live, and then watching it at the final, I still don't really get it. I'm not a big fan of the sound of this track, like the production on it. It just sounds a bit too chaotic and unorganized for me, but not in necessarily a good way. I think Angelina's vocals are great. I think she nailed it in the live performances as well. So points for that. But yeah, there's just something about this song that didn't really click with me. It seemed to click with a wide many of people listening, but not for me. It may have finished a very strong 7th for Italy, who always seem to do well in the contest, but no, for me, it's 22nd place. In 21st place, another big shocker is... yes, Ukraine. Now, this song, I totally understand the inherent power of this song and what they're singing about and what they're going for. I do want to say the staging, oh my god, some of the best like camera shots of this entire contest when she climbs the rock and all that sort of stuff. Incredible to watch. The ending as well, that was great. I really enjoyed the rap segment as well. It really continued with the whole flow of the song. Big points there. But I don't know, there was just seeing it live as well and then on the TV that I didn't quite get the same powerful impact as I did just listening to the track on its own. And there was so much else in the contest that for me really clicked, and this one just didn't quite land. So yes, it finished 3rd. It got the bronze medal in the contest, but I realistically can't rank this, for me at least, any higher than 21st. Sorry. In 20th place, we have... yes, Lovely Isaac with Always on the Run. Now, I first heard this and I thought, well, it's Rag & Bone Man Jr. I know a lot of people have made comparisons to Rag & Bone Man. It sounds very like a Rag & Bone Man song. It's a decent song. I think what elevated this for me was when we saw the rehearsal, that was very strong. I felt his performance in the final was very strong. We also saw Isaac do an acoustic version of this at the EuroVillage as well, and that really sort of gave a whole new dimension for the song. And no, I thought it was a really decent performance. Germany, you could argue, maybe playing it a bit safe after last year. They ventured a bit outside the box and came last, unfairly so, in my opinion. But no, I rated Isaac on this one. He came 12th, which for Germany is like, oh my god, we came higher than, 20th. So props to them. But yeah, for me, they are going to be 20th. Coming in at 19th place is... yes, I know. A lot of people are like,
Adam, you're a Brit and you've put your own country so far down.
I've actually put it one spot lower than it came in the final. So why is that? To start off with, I thought the staging of this was brilliant. It is something you only really get the full effect when you watch it on TV. Watching the rehearsal, it was still a great performance, but obviously you're looking at it from one fixed angle. You don't sort of get the same appreciation of it. Why didn't I rank Dizzy higher? Dizzy for me had a lot of things that were set up for me to like. It sounds very early Pet Shop Boys to me. I know a lot of people have made that comparison. It sounds like a weird alternative version of It's a Sin in some respects. And Ollie's voice is a very unique voice for sure. I think in the final, the vocals weren't necessarily 100% there. Again, you can sort of say there's a lot of choreography going on. A lot of the artists had this issue as well. But I just think the song didn't have that oomph to take it over the edge. It doesn't really progress much. There's a few big notes in there, which are always good for Eurovision, but it doesn't really progress more than what it's offering you within the first, 30 seconds to a minute. And to be honest, I think why this didn't get any televote points, which was hilarious, by the way, go the UK. I think, sadly, Ollie's performance with all the other lads in it, whilst for me, and I'm sure you, that's completely fine. There are some audiences out there in Europe who would have found that a bit too much. But no, this didn't, again, really set my world on fire. I was so excited for Ollie to be our representative as well. A bona fide pop star, established lots of fans, but was Dizzy necessarily the right song to send? I mean, in hindsight, now is all said and done, probably not. In 18th place, we've got Estonia with Minust and Pulup and their song, well, I'm not even going to attempt that. But this was just balmy, This is one of those Eurovision songs where all logic goes out the window and chaos sets free, baby. Starting in the audience, really like that. And just the dance, the very simple dance that, trust me, everyone was doing that in the arena, even the techies. But no, this was just a good slice of Eurovision fun. Nice to see traditional instruments singing in their own language and all that sort of stuff. I always knew that this, it was never going to do well with the juries. I definitely didn't think it'd finish in the top 10. And indeed, it finished 20th. But, for me, on this occasion, they're ranking a little bit higher. 18th place. A good slice of Eurovision fun. In 17th, we have the hosts this year, Sweden, Marcus and Martinus. I must admit, when I heard this song on the radio, I legit thought to myself, wow, Sweden definitely don't want to host again after this year. It felt very, safe, a bit bland, a bit generic. However, having then seen it live and then on telly, these two, their live game was good. They enhanced this song for me a lot. I mean, honestly, Sweden was much more further down originally in my ranking before we went over to Malmö. So to see it like this and it really go up in my estimations was a bit of a shock. No, I think live-wise and the staging, of course, the Swedes know how to do good staging, but this was a made-for-TV performance because when we watched them live for the dress rehearsal, we couldn't see them for about a minute because of where we were stood and all the other, props in the way and whatnot. But no, decent effort. Was never going to win. I mean, it came 9th. Another top 10 finish for Sweden.
Wow, big shot.
But no, for me, it's a bit further down. 17th. In 16th place, we have Cyprus. Now, for me, again, this was a weird one because I really did like this song. Hearing it on the radio, you can argue it's a bit of generic pop, but again, I think I really enjoyed the production of this one. It was heavy, it felt impactful, the vocals sounded good. And Celia, I didn't know until the contest started, is only 17 years old, and she's slamming out these vocals, doing these dance routines. Were the vocals perfect live? No. I mean, I think any song that does these kind of intense, dance-heavy productions, the vocals are always going to be affected. Would you believe it? It's very hard to dance a lot and sing at the same time. Take a look at yourself, 'cause that is what you need to do. But no, I really did enjoy this song. Having now seen it live, it did go down quite a lot. I think this was actually in my top 10 originally, just as songs go. But after factoring in live performances, it has sunk a bit. So 16th place for Cyprus. Directly above it in 15th is the neighbour, Greece. Now, this was one sung by Marina Satti, Zari, and this was one that had a lot of buzz around it before the contest. A lot of people were saying this is Greece's comeback, this is going to get them back into the top 10, this is going to even potentially win for Greece, which I think was always a big ambition. It did come 11th in the actual final, so just shy of a top 10, so I'm sure they were very happy about that. Comes 15th for me. This was a grower on me, for sure. When I first heard the song, I felt like, sort of with La Noia for Italy, I didn't get it, I didn't vibe with it, but the more I listened, the more those da, da, it really started to work for me. Hearing it live, oh my god, when you hear this song live, the bass in infectious. Like, even the clips from the final don't do it justice. Being in that room, hearing how hard and heavy that bass line was during the da, during that bit, incredible. It instantly raises that up for me. Great choreography as well from Marina. I loved how playful she was with the cameras and the audience too. You know, I would have put Cyprus above Greece initially, but Greece has taken it just for me. In 14th place then, we have... Aye, Georgia. Now, this one was, you know, vocal-wise, oh my god, on it. You know, hearing this song on Spotify and stuff, I thought, oh, well, this is going to be really hard for them to replicate live, especially if they're, you know, involving dance routines as well. But my god, the vocal control of Nutsa here, the artist for Georgia, was impeccable, because there's dance routines, there's a lot of stuff going on, she's constantly having to split her focus, and yet the vocals remained immaculate, especially on the televised final. She nailed it. And I mean, yes, you can argue the song Firefighter is a little bit, you know, some would say it's a little bit bland, some would say it's a little bit boring, whatever you want to say. However, you can't deny the artistry, the performance there was on point. She nailed it. I think out of all of the songs that made the final that are very, you could argue, like generic-y pop but dance heavy, Nutsa was up there for nailing it the most. And it really grew on me as well the more I saw and listened to it. So fair play, Georgia. You've got 14th from me, where you actually came, 21st. Eesh. In 13th place, we have... Yes, Norway. Now, I loved this song the minute I heard it. It was dark, it was moody, it felt very distinctly Norwegian, sort of delving into the folklore, you know, sort of prime for Eurovision, I thought. Where did this come in the final? Dead last. Absolute travesty. But yeah, 13th for me for Norway, because I loved the song. Great. Seeing it live, admittedly, vocally, both in the dress rehearsal and for the final as well, I didn't feel it was quite there. It lacked the same sort of power and impact. And with this song, when it hits the chorus, you know, that big note, if you haven't heard it before, that's where like the power hits in when you actually hear the track. For me on the final, didn't quite land the same way. Now, I still love the song, I love the staging, I love everything about it, so it lost a few points for me. I think it would have been in my top 10 had that impact have been there in the vocals, but for this instance, it takes 13th place. Rightfully 13th, Luxembourg. Why are you still here? No, that's, I mean, Luxembourg are already coming back next year, but please, please send a better song. On to 12th then. I've given 12th to... Armenia. This one was a lot of fun. Admittedly, and quite shamefully now, when I heard this just on Spotify, I think I thought this was a bit daft, a bit goofy, but I didn't really get the vibe of it. I originally thought this wasn't going to qualify even. How wrong was I? Because this actually finished in 8th place in the final. And I think seeing it live is the way to go, because Jacko, the song, is just immensely fun. The lead singer of Ladaniva, the band, has got charisma oozing, like, constantly. She's great to watch. The whole package, the whole presence is just really fun. Everyone was singing along. I mean, what an easy refrain to sing. The la 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 la. Perfect for Eurovision. And this one rose in my estimations vastly. The more I saw it live, the more I watched it on the telly, the more I heard it, I now finally get the appeal of Jacko, and I hope it continues a strong streak for Armenia. Back in the top 10. Well done. But for me, it just misses the top 10 in 12th place. In 11th place then, just before we'd give out, you know, the points as we do in Eurovision, I'm giving 11th to... Spain with Zora. Oh man, this was an experience. I love the track, you know, it's very 80s coded, a lot of the instrumentation, a lot of the production, but seeing this live was something else. Nebulosa, fair play to them, you know, because in a very young contest, they were some of the older contestants, but they nailed that performance and they worked that crowd like nothing else. Both in the dress rehearsal, and you could hear it in the final on TV, the crowd was singing along, particularly that one line she sort of pauses to let them sing. Wonderful stuff. A really fun song. I always didn't think this would win. I did want it to be in my top 10. It just missed out. I thought some of the vocals ever so slightly weren't on the ball as they needed to be, but the choreography, the production, the audience interaction, the song itself, great stuff, Spain. Some of the best stuff you've sent in years, genuinely. So now we move into my top 10 for this year. Now, in Eurovision itself, the top 10 countries are what get points, from 1 to 12. So we're going to do that here. So in 10th place, 1 point to... Yes, Austria. I adored this song. Colleen, absolute queen. Nailed it. I think the song We Will Rave is fantastic. What a great party song. Really gets you going. Sounds great on the radio. Sounds great live. Oh my god, when the bass dropped on this, similar to Greece, it just got everybody going. This was literally in my top 3 before going to Malmö. I'm dead serious. So why is it now number 10? Admittedly, some other countries we've yet to touch on, their live performances blew me away, so it sort of transcended this one. The vocals, hit and miss in some parts. Again, a lot of focus is on dance, which works for this song, but it can affect the vocals. But I would have felt like I was betraying myself if I didn't put Austria in the top 10 somewhere. So, Colleen, I love you. I love the song, but 1 point. In my 9th place then, and receiving 2 points, goes to... How can you not love this song, man? Finland sent Windows 95, man, and you already knew what this was going to be when you heard that name alone, right? And admittedly, this is the country I've heard the most, I guess you'd say, normies talk about, people who aren't mad Euro fans. They know this man, Windows 95, man.
Windows 95, man, and I only live by one rule. No rules!
It's a balmy song, it's fast, it's intense, it's great to sing along with. The sparklers at the end when his shorts come down, wonderful stuff. I love the staging, the tongue-in-cheek. It's everything of the goofy side of Eurovision and more. These guys got robbed, by the way. They came in 19th place? Absolutely criminal. But for me, they're coming in 9th and receiving 2 points from the AMTV delegation. In 8th place then, receiving 3 points, is Serbia with the song Ramonda. Now, I think in terms of what the song's about, go and look it up. I'd argue it's one of the most powerful, most impactful this year, in my opinion. I think Teodora did a phenomenal job with the production of this song. Like when you hear it on the radio, it's very emotional, it's very ethereal, and when it builds to those big notes at the end, you feel all the emotions within it, and a good ballad, a really strong ballad, should be able to replicate that live. She did replicate that live. However, there were some moments, again, where the vocal, particularly near the beginning, just wasn't quite on it or wasn't quite strong enough for me. But I think the power of this song alone, you know what I was talking about with Ukraine and how I felt the inherent power of the song didn't necessarily translate in a live performance for me? It did for Serbia, particularly those big notes at the end. For that reason alone, I mean, where did this come in the actual contest? They came 17th. Well, for me, it's coming in 8th place, receiving 3 points. In 7th place, receiving 4 points, is Lithuania, Luktelk. Now, this was another song that was originally probably somewhere in my top 5. This was a bop. I love the production. It feels very modern. The Lithuanian language that Sylvester sings in is beautiful to listen to on a track like this. I really enjoy it. Heavy bass, hearing that in the arena. The choreography was simple, but yet impactful. The sort of break in the middle where it all, hypens up a bit, that was fantastic as well. I thought Sylvester did a great job with the performance. Admittedly, I think his vocals at the dress I saw were stronger than what actually happened at the final. He has already talked about how he was feeling at the final due to various circumstances, but overall, I think this song still came across really well for me, and for that reason, it's in 7th place, receiving 4 points. In 6th place, receiving 5 points, is Slovenia, yes, with Veronica. Now, This song got shafted on the actual contest, right? They came 23rd, which is so unjust in my opinion, because this song is great for a variety of reasons. Again, the song itself is quite fascinating. If you translate the lyrics into English or whatever language is yours, I find it quite a fascinating song. Vocally, Raven, oh my god, the high notes that she consistently gets time and time again, over and over again, blew me and Rebecca away. And that was in the dress rehearsal, but she nailed it for the semi-final. She nailed it on the final, just vocally consistent all the time. I love the staging of it with the dancers she had. Again, power and impact came across in force. It was just a wonderful, wonderful performance. One of the best we've had this year. You know, come at me for that, but it's true. Shafted in the actual contest, but don't worry, Raven, you've got some light here, so you are in 6th place for me, receiving 5 points. We're into my top 5 now, and if you've done some working out, you might expect some countries to be here, and maybe some of them not to, but we will see where they fall. In 5th place for me, receiving 6 points, is France with Mon Amour. Now, the French, when they sing the ballads, is usually really good because the French language, many languages actually, sound beautiful in a ballad form, at least to me. Slimane, the singer here, nailed it. It was already a beautiful ballad listening to it online, but I did sort of think it would get lost in the mix of everything else. But then live, he did something very clever. There's a part where you've probably seen it. He steps away from the microphone and just lets his voice alone, without any aid, fill the arena. It was a truly jaw-dropping moment to see, you know, live in the rehearsal, communicated brilliantly on television. And, I mean, he finished in 4th place. He's finished in 5th for me. But, I mean, top 5 absolutely based on all that. A fantastic performance and, you know, putting France back in the top 5. But we'll move on to my 4th place for now. And this might surprise some of you, but I do have my reasons. So in 4th place, receiving 7 points, is Portugal with the song Grito. Now, Iolanda, the vocalist here, in my personal opinion, best vocals in this year's competition, hands down. I've praised many already, you know, Nutsa from Georgia, Slimane from France, Raven from Slovenia, but Iolanda from Portugal here, absolute mastery, not just of a vocal, but the story she's telling. It's the song that arguably, or one of the songs that used the least tech in the show. You know, it was just the cubes sort of flitting between white and black. Her dancers performing, you know, this routine around her while she passionately sings this intense ballad, and particularly at the end, that big note. That you felt a shiver down your spine in that arena, I'm telling you now. I was so glad when the UK jury awarded 12 points to Portugal, as did some other juries, because in terms of just a song and the vocal ability, the vocal mastery and telling this story, immaculate. Honestly immaculate. I know many people viewed it as an outlier. A lot of people didn't think it would qualify or do well. It actually came in 10th in the end, which I think is great, but for me, it's taken spot number 4. So well done. Well done. Top 3 then. We've got 3 countries left. And in 3rd place, taking the bronze medal and receiving 8 points, is... Now, this might be a shock because, of course, Nemo for Switzerland did win Eurovision. They came first with a lead of about 44 points. And I was very happy to see them win. I would have accepted a handful of winners this year, and Nemo was one of them. But they weren't my winner, personally. I do want to say, though, the staging of this enhanced this song dramatically. The skill, the artistry, the balance for anything for Nemo to, you know, go on this spinning disc, maintain that vocal consistency, hit those high notes while spinning around. I'd be throwing up. Full disclaimer, I'd be throwing up if that was me, right? So I fully appreciate that, and I appreciate what the song's about, you know, the journey for Nemo themselves as well. There was just there were two other nations, and you've probably figured out which ones they are, but there were two other nations that just pipped it for me. But Nemo has definitely finished within my top 3 there, receiving 8 points from the AMTV delegation, which leaves us with 2. And second place, taking silver, receiving 10 points, is Ireland with Bambi Thug. Now, this might seem very left field for Ireland, but by God, it works. You know, they finished 6th overall, Ireland's best finish in almost 30 years or something like that. And, you know, you've got to take risks. You've got to show different genres, different types of music and people at the contest as well. I think that's really important. And I always liked the song, Doomsday Blue. Hearing it on the radio, I was like, yeah, it's good, maybe on the lower ends of my top 10, but, you know, it wasn't a winner. Certainly wasn't top 3 originally. But then we saw the dress rehearsal. My God. What a performance. This was theatre, right? This was absolute theatre from start to finish. Everything from the, you know, the circle of candles, sort of summoning the devil, dancing with the devil. The camera shots they implemented were fantastic, perfectly timed each time. Bambi nailed their performance. The costume reveal, everything about it was perfection. And this is not hyperbole. Out of the 2 previews we watched, so, you know, we saw all 37 countries competing, no one, and I mean this, no one got a bigger cheer, applause, response, whatever you want to call it, than Ireland. And remember, it's Eurovision, it's a silly song contest, it's theatre. You know, they're not actually going to bring all of Satan and hell down on you. If you think that, I think you're slightly deluded. Bambi, congratulations for your 6th place finish in the contest. For me, you're getting 2nd place from the AMTV delegation. If you haven't seen the clip, please watch it. Which means then, in 1st place, the winner, which you might have already guessed, and it was a favourite, it is, of course, Croatia with Rim Tim Tagidim, Baby Lasagna. Where to start? I love this song the minute I heard it. I love the production. I love the vibe of it. I love it's slightly goofy, but also has a serious undertone as well. The production's great. I thought Baby Lasagna nailed the vocal delivery. I was a bit nervous going into the dress rehearsals and then obviously the final, because I wondered how well vocally would this translate over. And I'm sure Baby Lasagna in interviews had sort of said, oh, you know, I've been having to work on my breath control, making sure I'm not running out of breath on certain lines and stuff. And live, oh my God, what an experience. If Bambi Thug for Ireland got the biggest applause and cheer, then Baby Lasagna for Croatia definitely got the biggest audience interaction. You know, right from the word go, singing along with the certain parts of the song, like the "There's no going back." And of course, the now famous dance in the middle. You know where they do this? I mean, we were all joining in. It was a phenomenal experience. And again, in the final, they knocked it out of the park. And of course, they won the televote. They got the most televote points, came 2nd, just shy of 44 points to Nemo in Switzerland, who swept the juries. But for me, you know, I debated long and hard about this. My top 2, Ireland and Croatia recently, were madly going back and forth. But for me, ultimately, I think Croatia just about did it for me. So congratulations to Baby Lasagna. You are my personal winner of Eurovision this year. 12 points, 12 points. But of course, as I said at the start, these are just my thoughts. These are just my opinions. I'm not right. I'm not wrong either. It's just a subjective opinion. And I want to know your opinions. You know, I want to know what you thought of this year's contest and what you thought of this year's songs in the final, and even the, you know, songs that didn't make it. Rest in peace to all those songs, because some of them were quite good. But if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it. It really does help us out. And subscribe to the channel as well. We would love to have you aboard here with us. In the meantime, I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, Globe of Reviews, Derek Chambers, Sean Knock, Dord Khan, Liam Domain, Trev Hughes, AJ Mac 200017, Deck KP20, Simon Harrison, Evan Hart 41, Jen, Ted Elliott, Tim Ripley, Mr. Eurovision 1986, our AMTV staff members.